First time countdown's number 2 story tonight's worst persons in the world. The Bronx, Sean Hannity, opened his show by saying, in 1765, Parliament passed the Stamp Act, provoking outrage among the American colonists. Now the leaders of the tax uprising were the Sons of Liberty, who met in August of 1765 under an old elm tree in Boston to air their grievances against the tyrannical King George. He then proceeded to read a long rant somebody wrote for him about how it's time for a new Liberty tree, and so he put one up, and then he described all the apples that had fallen from it during the Obama administration. Then last night, by the way, he complained about an Obama hamburger condiment choice. By the way, who eats a cheeseburger with Dijon mustard? What a guy. First, wow, exotic. Mustard on a hamburger. Only terrorists do that. Second, as you said, the Liberty tree was an elm. No wonder the apples fell off. Third, what, you want your crazy viewers to air their grievances against the King of England? Because otherwise you're tiptoeing around treason again. Fourth, when are you going to answer the question about the charity waterboarding? Our runner-up, Billo the Clown, reading the talking points again. Now he just repeats what Bill Hemmer reads in the morning, for God's sake. New hate crime legislation could possibly say yes to protecting pedophiles, but no to protecting military people. Except it does not allow for any possibility of protecting pedophiles. There is already law on the books defining victims of hate crimes for sexual orientation as those who, quote, practice, quote, consensual homosexuality or heterosexuality. And the non-protection of military people, that is part of a bogus amendment offered to the legislation by the bogus Iowa Congressman Steve King, which presumes that veterans are frequently victims of hate crimes. The only thing ever resembling that recently was when O'Reilly denied that there were 300,000 homeless veterans. But our winner, Glenn Beck, having fallen behind on his reading of GOP talking points, he only got around to repeating this lie yesterday, that ACORN, or groups like them, were included in the stimulus package. Thus, we have guaranteed them billions of dollars to buy more votes for the party that helps them the most. Beck then had on an ACORN spokesperson named Scott Levenson. Levenson, frankly, beat the crap out of Beck to the point where Beck barked, "Shut his mic off." And then the consensus #1 pick in your fantasy, which conservative gets institutionalized first league, did something despicable even by his own standards. After the interview ended, after the subsequent commercial break, he came back on and said, I was standing here and he gets up and I said, "You, sir, and your organization are bad for America." And he said, "You're just afraid of black people." I threw him out of the studio. Get the hell out of my studio. He does that, closes the studio door after I kick him out of the studio, and he actually has the nerve to ask one of my producers out on a date, saying, quote, "Doll, you're pretty hot." This is the freedom of speech Glenn Beck wears like a personal flag. Freedom of speech for him. For the people he lies about, smears, misquotes, cries over, threatens, makes up quotes from. No free speech for them. They are free to hear him talk about them after the break. Glenn Beck, today's worst person in the world.